But let's move on now to the power forward rankings. And we're going to do this a little bit differently. Real quick, we got to preface this like we always do because apparently it does not get through.
Third time's a charm. Fourth time's a charm.
We are using basketball.realgm.com
We need
for
like
these
an
depth
annotation
charts.
across the
Yes.
video, like huge, like giant font.
We are not saying these are the starters for this team. If you're offended by who is starting, write an email to realgm.com. We are not these people.
We just need a baseline. That's what we're using it as.
We're using it as baseline. And if you do want to see our full 30 listing, check out the link in the description. You'll see all 30 of us. Ricky puts it together, puts all the stats. It's all nice and lovely. But let's get into this. We're not going to go through every single one, so I'm sorry if you get offended by that. But we're going to talk
Lots
about
of offended fans this week.
More of 3 topics about these rankings, and then we'll talk about them. So out of the guys who are not in the top 10 right now, who do you think will be in the top 10 by the end of the season?
And that's tough because like you're like, who's gonna be there by the end of the season? So now you're holding me to
Jeff
like,
Green?
who is? Yeah, Jeff Green's to
Well,
now.
Serge Ibaka started.
Ibaka.
I fucked up.
You're missing the most important one. Al Farouk Amino, baby, gonna be in the top 10. Pencil it.
That was a bad joke. That was a bad joke.
No.
Well, we all know it's not going to be Ilyasova. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, there's that.
Give me a real answer. Who's going to move into the top 10 here?
The guy who has the easiest jump to the top 10 from what I see is...
Zach Randolph, because he's 11.
That's evil, but not bad. Not bad. I was
say Ja.
I was going to say Ja, yeah.
Yeah.
Ja, he's a offensive machine. He is polished in the low post. He's like 20 years old. Come on. I understand the hatred for the man because he can't play defense, but even at not playing defense, he's still useful on the court.
But is he a power forward?
Shh, we don't answer those questions here.
The 76ers are kind of like in the Orlando Magic.
We trust in real
Trust in the
GM.
process.
The 76ers have an Orlando Magic problem, but it's not that worrisome
in
because
one
they're all
position.
young. Yeah, because they're all young, but like still, you got to wait. Like, who is starting
They've got
for this
4
team?
centers, no big deal, guys. We're just going to line them up. It's Ben Simmons and 4 centers.
You got Dario. Dario can play power forward.
Dario may play.
Ben Simmons can play power forward, but he's going to be handling the ball.
God, I forgot about Dario.
Yep.
Yeah.
Forgot he's coming over.
There's about
Holy
5
shit.
guys
He's
who can
good utility.
start power forward for the 76ers. I agree that in some points that Ja can be
Look,
because
he's going to be a 20 and 10, likely.
can he though?
Should
Because there's
be.
so many guys that
Should be a
76ers
20
team.
and 10.
So it could be, because if Joel Embiid is like as good as his workout videos, like Joel Embiid's going to walk in the league and drop like 30. So I don't know, probably not 30. But still, it's the fact that they've got a lot of guys who they all want to see get the ball. So we know what Noel can do already, which is great. He's a defense. He's a 10 and 10 player usually, and his defense is phenomenal. But again, I think Ja is just going to continue getting better, and his low post game is going to continue to get better.
And here's the thing about this is kind of like my thing when I was kind of ranking these guys. We talked about last week with the small forward, Dave. You kind of called him a unicorn.
Yeah, they're like
That's showing you-
snowflakes.
They're like snowflakes.
Everybody's special.
Well, the
Their own
thing
special
about
way.
power forwards, it's like, okay, I kind of want to base it off the stretch floor, but then you got a guy like Ja. You got a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge where it's like, they're not stretch fours.
Yeah, like
Where do
Kenneth
I
Faried,
like,
no, not quite anymore.
And you're sitting there going, well, do I penalize you for not being a stretch four? Do I put you where you're supposed to be? They're the ones that's hard to place. And that's the thing with Ja. I looked at him like, man, you're hitting over 50% of your shots. You 17.5 points per game last season, at least 7 rebounds, and at least a block. Pretty good for a rookie.
Yeah.
Pretty good for a rookie. And I mean, one of the things is, like you said, Dave, what's going to happen with the front court? Who's going to play where? You're right. He should be a 20 and 10 guy.
Yeah.
He should be. But to me, it's like, do we see maybe like if Chris Bosh doesn't play, if Dirk if he has a bad season, those are 2 guys that could fall out. Do we see a guy like Ryan Anderson come in because he's more of the stretch 4 mold and he has a better season in that regard?
Well,
He fits onto a team better. New year, right?
Yeah,
He's with the Rockets this year.
That's what I was going to bring up is that he's going to be on the Rockets now, and James Harden, apparently the greatest playmaker in NBA history if you look at our shooting guards.
Yeah, if you look
No
at the comment
respect, you
section.
motherfuckers.
I have respect for him.
James Harden.
I respect James Harden. It was a very close 1-2 right there.
Hashtag
all right?
no defense.
But
The
anyways.
man plays 2 positions on offense.
But
it counts.
Anyways, with James Harden, he'll be able to find Ryan Anderson, who is very good and very efficient from 3-point land. You have a lot of scorers on that team that they did bring in, so there's a lot of help there. And if that Rockets team can kind of bring back that magic, and with Mike D'Antoni, they could put up 150 points. They're not going to play any defense.
That.
But I mean, Ryan Anderson might be a 30-point scorer the way that Houston's going to be putting up points. But yeah, I think Ryan Anderson has the easiest jump because if his team goes off the way they're supposed to, then that's just going to make him even better. That's going to make him look better.
It turns him from a role player into just a notch below all-star.
Exactly.
Really. So, look, he's got potential. The two guys who I've got penciling who farthest jump to make, but they both have the potential to do it. Both Julius Randle and Jabari Parker, two young guys.
I was going to ask.
We Agree podcast.
I was gonna throw out Randle. Do you not necessarily will he make the top 10, but right now we got him outside the top 20.
Yeah,
he'll make it.
How high does he go if
He's
we're
got one
looking at this
spot.
going into next year?
See, with Julius Randle, and the reason why I have him so high is I think he has the third. Last year, he had the third most double doubles out of power forwards. It might be fourth or something. I think he was behind AD and Draymond Green. He was phenomenal last year. And the thing that I want to see is how he fits into the Luke Walton offense, because he might be able to fill that Draymond position. Because I think he
turns into a mini Draymond. That's your hopes and dreams.
a mini Draymond. And the biggest problem for Julius Randle is his size and his lack of a shot, because he's decent from 15 feet, but not great.
A little lower than that. Maybe
lower.
like 10.
Yeah, but still, like Julius Randle, it won't be the best shooter. It won't be the Draymond part of stretching the floor, but I still think he'll be able
It's the
to.
first thing I thought. We said, "Oh, mini Draymond." Oh, wait, he can't shoot.
Lamar Odom.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Lamar was decent from three. All right, maybe
We'll find somebody
he'll
who's
be
bad
able to-
enough.
he's got a decent ability to facilitate. So I think that's the reason why we're saying that. He won't have the
Yeah.
shooting ability, but again, he's still young. So I think Julius Randle. That's the reason why. Because if that young Laker team will be able to pick up that Luke Walton offense, and you have guys like Brandon Ingram, D. Russell, you have Jordan Clarkson, and then you have a guy like Julius Randle who can facilitate, rebound, take those offensive rebounds and put them into points. I mean, that's going to be something that's so key for a team, and that's going to increase his value. I mean, even if he's putting up 10, 10, and 4 or something like that, a team that, the Lakers, who were at the bottom of the league last year, and move up a little bit in the Western Conference, that's going to help them a bit. And that's a lot to ask from that young Laker team. But if that happens, you'll be able to see the improvement of Julius Randle. You'll be able to see the part that he plays into that team. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for Julius Randle, and that's why I think he might be able to move up. Maybe not top 10 yet, but I think he'll be able to get into that 15 range, and then that's banking a lot. But still,
Yeah, it depends on how much buy-in he gets. Again, it's a lot on Luke Walton and how this offense is going to work for him, because he could be, in all honesty, he could be your best number 2 option on the team like right now, and it depends on how well Brandon Ingram comes along. If Luol Deng is gonna, where does he pick off from last season? Is he going to be playoff Luol Deng? Is he going to be like mid-year Luol Deng? And you don't know. There's a pretty big gap between the two of those and what he could contribute to the team. We see him as a veteran guy, and I think he's going to help Julius grow. So my expectations for Julius Randle is, this year he's still the number 2 option on that team. I don't think Brandon Ingram's going to come in and take it from him yet. I think it'll be fun competition.
was he
between
the
the two
number
of them.
2 though? I mean, you got Russell and you got Clarkson. I would say that's 1-2 right there.
I feel like Clarkson just kind of defaulted to it because 6-man, it was him, Swaggy P, and that whole thing. I don't even want to go down that route. But on the other hand, Jabari Parker, that guy.
Well, the thing that I want to say, we usually bring efficiency into this a lot. And if you look at his efficiency, I mean, yeah, is he shooting most of his baskets from 5 feet away? Yeah, but he's making those shots. I mean, he's from inside the paint. He's shooting 62% somehow from the left side, which is ridiculous. He took 312 shots on the left side of the basket, and he shot 49% from the right side. I think totally shot around 500 shots and was around 55% from inside that paint, from inside that circle right there. If he can get to that percentage and still stay around 50%, that's going to be a big improvement. I just want to see how he can, stretch out that floor, because he's going to need to do that if Giannis does play that point forward position that we've been expecting
him
to play.
And that's where he did thrive at last year. So no, I think Jabari has a ton of potential to grow this season because of the way that team's going to change with Giannis at the point. We're going to see him step up, and the hopefuls of Thonmaker and everything. I think he's still going to get the majority of the time in there. So look, Jabari Parker can throw down. He's going to dominate and drive to the lane and end up at the free throw line a shit ton of times this year again. But if he picks up that free throw shot, that's going to add a lot of points to his game. Like that's one area I can see him easily improve on this offseason. And I think we actually had a commenter talk about, he's trying to lose weight to become more athletic. Mm-hmm. It's all good signs from him, but he's not there yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if he can get there and kind of put up what he did in the last 2 months of the season, and if you look at what he did in the last 2 months of the season, it was fantastic. And that's kind of when Giannis made that switch to the point forward position, because if you look in March, 48% from the field, 40% from three, 78% from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.5 steals, and had 17 points. And then in April, he kind of took that 3-point percentage down, got to around 20, but then he had 49% from the field, had about 5.9 rebounds, went up to 2 assists a game, and then had 19.4 points. So if he can get around that area and stay in that area, I think he could definitely take a shot and move up. And someone was saying we're trashing the Bucks. We're not trashing the Bucks. I mean, Jabari Parker's a good player, but he hasn't lived up to that number 2 overall that he was taken at.
And I believe that same commenter, Dave, that you talked about at the end, he goes, "Oh, they'll probably be 9 or 10." That's where we pegged the Bucks.
Yeah.
That's where we pegged them in past podcasts.
Yeah. So I think that with Jabari Parker, he'll be able to move up. But if someone moves up, someone's got to fall out. So who out of our top 10 is kind of on that fringe of falling out?
Isn't it Dirk and Bosh? Are they the main two?
Well, is that your thoughts?
Well, I mean, they're the...
You tell me, Ricky.
Well,
Yeah,
to
you
me,
tell
I'm
me.
looking at the...
We're having a discussion.
Well, I mean, maybe, like, okay, Bosh if he doesn't play, Dirk if he has a down year, but I don't see it from Dirk. Maybe a Derek Favors, and I know that...
Oh, God.
Whoa.
It's one of those things where you know that the top 4 aren't going anywhere. AD,
I don't think a top 6 going
Draymond.
anywhere.
I mean, to me, then those are the only 2, Bosh and Dirk, because Love ain't going anywhere unless he just falls off completely in Cleveland, which could happen. So maybe, and Porzingis
Say
isn't.
Coach LeBron could choose not to pass the ball to him, and then all of a sudden, Kevin Love is
Coach
just
LeBron.
useless.
Or when he does get the ball passed to him, he's not making his 3-pointers where he's sitting in the
No,
corner.
that's only the
hate-
playoffs.
I
It's
really
only
do
the
hate that they
playoffs.
turned him into a spot-up shooter.
I do too.
It's a waste of his talent. He needs to get
Make
traded to
K
somewhere
Love
better.
great again.
Yes.
Make K-Love great again. That's why I have him so high, is because I know what K-Love can bring to the table, and that's why I think K-Love can be a top power forward. But the position he's in, I see him falling just because of that. Just because I think
He's
in
in
the
a limited role on that team.
in the regular season he may not fall because they're going to rely on him because Bron's not going 100%.
Yeah,
and
Bron's
Kyrie's
going to
not
play
going
like
100%.
65 games probably.
Yeah, and with K-Love, he's going to be able to. He's going to need to be relied on once or twice, or probably more than that in seasons. But
Yeah.
in the postseason, he's not that important to that Cavs offense. It's more Jr. was more important, I would argue, in the playoffs than K-Love was. So
Minus that one offensive possession where he just played lockdown defense.
yeah, well,
I should say defense.
well,
possession,
he was
I'm
also
sorry.
great in that last game rebounding too.
Yeah.
Even under the basket. So I think
In the
K-Love
clutch.
has the talent to stay in the top 10, but I think his performance, and really no fault of his own, but I think his performance might take him out. Dirk, again, he might lose
How
the
long
battle.
can he keep doing this?
He might lose the battle to age sometime. But
Yeah.
right now he's not. I mean, he was the second highest scoring power forward, shooting still effectively. I think he was around 36% from 3, which you want to see go up a
Because
little
Dirk
bit.
never misses.
But Dirk is fantastic. Dirk is
When he shoots
ridiculous.
the rock.
You're waiting for that one.
I was.
had to.
I was wondering, do I
Our
go
boy-
down the golden app?
Yeah,
do I do
our-
the Red Delicious or do I?
Dude, it's our boy Paul Brogan from
Paul Brogan.
Tacoma, Washington. Tacoma, Washington Community College, making the March Madness this year.
Oh my
Love it.
gosh.
Link that in the description.
Paul Brogan, I love it.
Link that
I
in the
will.
description.
When he shoots the rock.
And we expect Dirk's role to kind of take us not a big step back, hopefully, just a little one, because they did bring in some more guys, some younger guys on that team.
Did they? I mean, well, they did. They
Harrison
brought in Harrison
Barnes.
Barnes, but they lost Chandler Parsons. I don't think they brought in Andrew Bogut.
Yeah, and they brought in Curry, the wrong one.
Get the
but
wrong
Curry.
one. I think it's still Dirk's team.
Curry,
It's still-
Bogut, Harrison Barnes. What more could you ask for?
It's still Dirk's team. It's still Dirk's team, and I think that Dirk. I think if Dirk doesn't lose to an injury battle, I think Dirk will still be able to be effective because he hasn't proved us wrong otherwise. It's kind of like, when is Tim Duncan going to stop being great? Well, when Tim Duncan tries, he's still great.
Yeah.
Obviously he's retired now, but still. I think the guy who is falling, I think it's kind of the obvious one, is Chris Bosh, just because of the, kind
You're
of
not
where
on the
he's
court, you're not worth anything.
Exactly.
That's the answer. I wish him all the best with his health issues, but if he can't be on the court, I can't put him in a top 10 list.
And when he is on the court, he's a top 5 power forward. Easily. I think you can make that argument, and Ricky has him in his top 4, but the reason why Dave and I have him at 7 and I have him at 9 is because of that injuries. We don't know what he can do. So right now he lowers expectations because he probably won't be playing the same minutes that he did last year. He's probably going to be eased into it.
But that's
and
a thing
can't even
where-
stay on the court or can't even touch the court.
It's also a thing of, I look at it where, like, the whole Chris Bosh situation it's all out of his hands, too. Like, I think if it's
bad.
up to him, he's playing.
He was playing in the
without
playoffs
doubt.
last
Yeah,
year.
he's
without
playing in
doubt.
the playoffs, but it's one of those things where, like we talked about earlier in the podcast, it's a muddy situation overall. And I looked at everything, and I'm like, you know what? If he plays game one, that's where I put him.